In order for us to win a Big 12 championship, we had to go through Austin and Norman. And I don't think that changes until a team accomplishes that goal. And that's just the facts. I mean, basically just stating the facts. So I think that, I know as a staff and as a team that we'll approach this game like any other, but with an opportunity to accomplish something that's never been done here, which is to win a championship.
How tough is that? You're talking about go through Austin, go through Norman. How tough is it to enter that club?
Well, there's not been anybody else do it in our league. And again, I recruit against Oklahoma, we compete against Oklahoma, and I recruit against Texas and compete against Texas. But we can only state the facts, is that this conference has been dominated by those two schools. And so until somebody goes through Oklahoma and Texas and wins the conference championship, I don't think anybody has the right to say that they've gotten to that level. I did mention to the team, and I've probably said this to you guys, I don't know that anybody's been as close as we have in the last 3 or 4 years, even dating back to when we lost in Texas 28-24 when they were #1 in the country. So we're right there. We just have to prepare well, go out and play hard, and let the chips fall where they are, where they'll be.
Justin said he'd be honored as a senior night. Can you kind of explain your reasoning behind that?
Well, there's a good chance that Justin's going to be playing professional football next year. And I feel like that he's earned the right to walk on that field with his mother and father. And when we have a player that's in his situation, we felt like it was the right thing to do. Obviously, it's not like applying for the draft. And I said this a month ago. I hope he comes back, and we'll save a scholarship for him. But chances are that he's going to move on and play professional football, and so I would hate for him to leave here without being able to walk across that field with his family one last time.
Do you think a team should win its conference championship to be in the BCS title?
You know, that's a hard question. Without talking around it, Dave, I'll say that, and you guys have heard me say this now for 2 years, it's extremely difficult to win all your games. And I think there can be a really good football team lose a game and still in the end may be the best football team in the country. We saw LSU lose 2 games a few years ago and win a national championship. Now I think that's rare. I think that's, I don't even know how that happened. I didn't pay that close enough attention to it. But I don't know that I have the answer to that. There's obviously some very, very good teams in a couple leagues that people feel like should have the right to play for the championship. So, fortunately, I don't have to make that decision. I think we're under contract with the BCS for maybe 3 more years. Kevin? Something like that. And so we've all signed up and we said we were going to agree to it. So I guess we'll have to follow those guidelines until that contract expires.
It'd have to be big frustrating if you win Saturday and you see Alabama playing the title game. They didn't win their conference. They lost at home to the team that played.
Right. Yeah. And again, I don't disagree with you. You're getting into the question comes up about politicking for your team, and I'm not comfortable in doing that. I think with where we're at with Oklahoma State football right now and what these players have accomplished, that it's more important for our staff and our players to concentrate on preparing for the game and try to play the best we can and beat Oklahoma and win a conference championship and then move forward from that point.
Coach, your computer rankings helped you all season in the BCS standings and why it's been so high, but the coaches polls kind of was told you guys back 5th right now, and out of the top 5 teams, you're the only one without a vote. Do you feel like that's a disadvantage for you and your squad?
In what way?
Like you're not able to vote for your team while the other guys can adjust the polls the way they want to. Do you feel like that's a disadvantage that you're the only one in the top 5 that can't have a say about his team?
You mean me?
Yeah.
I'd have to think about that. I didn't know that till you brought it up. Do they release those votes?
The final standings will be released, but their final poll will be released.
Yeah. I did vote on that one year. Maybe it was USA Today I voted on. I think it was USA Today that I voted on. And I would not have voted us any higher than the teams that's up there right now. And so, again, we can talk about this forever, but we need to try to win every football game we can. And then at some point the computer or other people will vote however they feel that your team has played and where they should be. And then I think as a team, we have to live with that and then move forward.
Mike, you say you're not comfortable politicking, probably not comfortable, kicking a 50-yard field goal into the wind, but sometimes you have to do it.
Right.
Don't you feel like
I'm not saying.
Saturday night's going to be too late to politic?
Yeah, I'm not saying that I wouldn't, but I mentioned this a week or two ago that Kevin and Gavin keep me informed on kind of what they think's best. I don't spend much time thinking about it, and so if somebody made me do it, I would probably say something. I would do it uncomfortably, but I wouldn't mention it until after the game. And like you said, at that time it may be too late. I just think we need to prepare and do the best we can to win this game and then move forward from that point on.
For instance, there are coaches who would, if they were in your shoes, they would start talking about how the circumstances by which you lost Iowa State, the playing best. That entered your mind. You need to remind people the circumstances by which you lost at Iowa State.
I'm just not comfortable with that, Barry. Again, if they were to come to me and say that, their athletic director or the president would say, you owe it to your team or we need to do this, then I would think about it, and then we would try to come to an agreement. But I'm just not comfortable. That's not my background. It's not my personality. I would just rather prepare for the next game and try to get the guys to go out there and play as hard as possible and eliminate turnovers and miss assignments and let them have fun.
Did you say you'd vote for the teams that are above you right now?
Right now, I would vote for LSU. I don't think there's any question. That's not a debate. You asked about you asked about Alabama, and if somebody sat me down and said you had to make a decision, with where we're at right now, Alabama lost to what would be the number one team in the country, and Oklahoma State lost to Iowa State. So in our situation, if I was doing it, fair, I don't know how I could put us in front of them right now.
Well, remember though, Mike, in the coaches poll, there's two other teams ahead of you guys also, Virginia Tech and Stanford.
Yeah, and see, I haven't even watched them. I see a little bit of Alabama, and I followed a little bit, but I would have to really sit down, look at what's happened, look at the teams, and try to make that decision. And fortunately, I don't have to do that.
Just for the record, politicking is one thing. Saying you put Alabama ahead of you is sort of anti-politicking.
Yeah.
That seems
Well,
counterproductive.
Well, no, I'm just saying right now, you asked me about today, and we have a loss and they have a loss, and they lost to the number one team in the country.
At home.
And so I love that you guys are fighting for Oklahoma State, and I'm fighting for Oklahoma State, and I'm fighting for our team, but the message that I've given them is I want them to practice well this week, and I want them to go out and play hard and do everything they can to win a game. But I just don't, again, I don't vote, but I don't know how all of a sudden you just say that there's 2 one-loss teams and one lost to a team that was number one in the country and one lost to a team that was unranked. And other circumstances may factor in, but that's just my personal opinion. I like our football team. And I said this a month ago. I think on any given day, on any site in the country, that we can play with anybody in the country. I don't doubt that for 1 second.
You think it's a bit strange they're saying now not only do you have to win, you have to blow them out?
Well, I didn't know. I hadn't heard all that. Of course, I'm not in tune with what's going on out there. But I guess I'm trying to not let that affect our team and our staff. For us right now, we need to prepare to win this game. And if we win this game and we play well and somebody thinks that it's enough to put us in a position to play for that, nobody will be more fired up than I will about it and excited for our players. I'm just trying to answer the question the best that I can with where we're at right now.
Coach, I apologize if you've already touched on this, but with all the emotional elements coming into Saturday night, the rivalry, the Big 12 championship on the line, senior night, what do you expect it to feel like down there, and did you approach it any differently considering there's all those variables?
No, we won't approach it any differently, and it won't feel any different than it did last year. We were in the same situation last year, and so our players have been in that environment, and the preparation this week should be the same. There's a lot of excitement in the state for the game. We don't have professional football here, and it's a fun week for everybody. But our players and our coaches have to stay focused on the job at hand. I mean, the task at hand, I should say.
How much motivation do you draw from last year's game?
What's that?
How much motivation do you draw on from last year's game?
I mean, not really any. I just don't think that really factors in much with players. I think that this year, this team is different than last year and the team that was here last year. And the players should have enough motivation for two reasons. One, for a chance to be a conference champion, and two, because that's their responsibility every game we play. They should do everything they can to win.
Mike, it's been now 10 days since you lost. No way to know, but gauging, you think you guys have put that game behind them pretty well?
I don't think there's any question that they understand the importance of moving forward, and we have to do that on every game. I think the greatest challenge in college football now is being able to keep your team focused, and that's why we talk a lot about focused and preparation. And so I think they're in, I mentioned earlier in my opening remarks that I think they're in a good frame of mind. I think they're excited about playing in the game, and they're practicing well. And there was energy on the field yesterday. I think that's a great sign.
Last year you played with Blackman and Whedon hobbled, and then this year it's OU with Lewis questionable, Royals out that comes in. I mean, from their perspective, from what you guys experienced last year, how disappointing is that to come into a game where you have your best players at either not playing or at not full percent, when it's possibly the biggest in-state game of the year, and at the end of the season you want to finish on a good note?
I can't comment on what their camp feels like. I mean, it's hard for me to say how they feel about those players not being there. I'm sure that they'd like to have all their good players. Anytime you lose a really good player, it's disappointing, but I can't comment on how they would feel.
How was it for you guys last year then? You're competing right there with them, but then you guys have possibly your best player on offense. It sprains his ankle second quarter, then you have Blackman wearing a boot all week. I mean, was that a little disappointing knowing that you were that close with those factors, or were you surprised how well they played? Or
Well, it's always disappointing if you have good players that can't compete in a game. And so when you play a game that's important, you want to have your best players out there because they've worked at it. They've been here for, I added up the other day, Blackman's been here like 1,294 days. And to give you an example of a guy that's been here a long time, and so you'd like for them to be able to play in those games.